Duh. Oh yeah. We've wandered the many we. Yeah. We've wandered. Yeah. We've wandered a many, I guess. We've wandered a many a weary fold. What do you mean? Uh, it's just, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that one is right here. We've wandered many, yeah, many a weary foot, yeah. Money, money, yeah. Yeah, we've wandered a man, wandered yeah. We've wandered money, wandered money. Oh, sure, sure. Yeah, you're right. Did you want to do a piano solo in the middle of Old Lang Syne? Fair. Yeah, if y'all want. Just not the. Oh, cool. So yeah, we just got. We don't have many. 318 and 51. 51. Yeah. 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 Just bring the hymnals up. And it should be good. Thank you. Mm, where to put this? Is this a problem if this is right here? No. Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks, Heather. Okay.
is none. Have to improvise. Well, it should be memorable.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's kind of sweet. It's a lot of the.
But they don't want people getting too. Really could.
There's lots of room.
Go over the mountains.
You can buy at least. Six cents, maybe.
This is a poem by the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. The good news, they do not print. The good news, we do print. We have a special edition every moment, and we need you to read it. The good news is that you're alive. The sycamore and the oak are still there after the fires and rain. The good news is that you have wonderful eyes to touch the blue sky. The good news is that a child is there before you. You have arms. Hugging is possible. They only print what is wrong. Look at each of our special editions. We always offer the things that are not wrong. We want you to benefit from them and help protect them. The dandelion is there by the sidewalk, smiling its wondrous smile, singing the song of eternity. Listen, you have ears that can hear it. Bow your head, listen to it. Leave behind the world of sorrow and get free. The latest good news is that you can do it. Please rise and sing number 318, We Would Be One.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow, a nobler world would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Good morning. I wrote these chalice lighting words yesterday as I was thinking of the year ahead, and I want to share this with you. Some things endure. Even in a world that's changing every minute, even in the face of heartache and setbacks, even when hope wavers, some things endure, like our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, in our belief that we are all part of a marvelous interconnected web of existence held together by love. We kindle our flame this morning as a reminder that indeed some things endure. Oh, all right. Here's the fun part. So Peter assigned me the task of coming up with one good thing to highlight at our service this morning, and this is like the easiest thing in the world to do right now. That up there is a gathering at our house for Christmas dinner. And I gotta say, this time of year, the one good thing is that we all stop and gather together every year. What could be better than that? So I'm holding that up as our one good thing.
Old people with young at heart and who want to come and sit on the steps and hear a story, come on up. Come on up. Don't be shy. I'm not shy. Today happens to be the middle of the holiday called Hanukkah. And Hanukkah is a Jewish tradition that celebrates a miracle of lights. And one of the ways we celebrate is with a menorah that's a candle holder like this one here. And you'll see that there are several places for candles, and some of them have candles and some of them don't. And there are who can count how many candles there are today? No, not 10. Count again.
How many candles are in here right now? 9, I'm sorry.
There's 9, and one of them is taller than the other one. So there are 8 candles and one tall one that's a helper candle that lights the others. There's places for 8 candles, but there are only 5 of them right now. And if you listen to the story, maybe you'll find out why there are 8 places for 8 candles. One other thing about the menorah, they come in all sizes and shapes. There's one on the cover of this story that looks like this, and there's one that looks like that, and there's even this little teeny one for birthday candles. They come in all sizes and shapes, but they all have holders for 8 candles and one tall one. So the Hanukkah story begins long ago in Israel, when it was called Judea. At that time, the Jews who lived there were farmers and shepherds. On holidays, they all went to the beautiful temple in Jerusalem. The temple was on top of a mountain and called the House of God. Its gates were covered with gold and silver, and inside was a ner tamid, a light that always burned. The king's men came to the town. Wait, skip the page. For a long time, the Jews lived in peace, even though they did not rule the land. Then a Greek, Antiochus IV, became king. He tore down the walls of Jerusalem, and thousands were killed. Anyone who lit the Sabbath candles and studied Jewish law or refused to bow to the Greek idols was put to death. The king's men came to the town of Modi'in. They demanded that Mattathias, an old priest, worship one of their gods. Mattathias refused. He threw down the idol and called out, "Whoever is for the Lord our God, follow me." The pages are sticky. Mattathias ran to the hills. He and his 5 sons and many other Jews followed him. Antiochus's army chased after Mattathias, but when the soldiers came near, the brave Jews hiding behind large rocks and inside caves attacked, and then they ran away into the hills. Mattathias and his followers were farmers and shepherds, but they fought like trained soldiers. When Mattathias died, his son Judah became their leader. Judah was called the Maccabee, which means hammer. The people who fought him were called the Maccabees. And here they are. The king's armies came with bows and arrows, swords, horses, and armored elephants. Can you picture an elephant with armor on it? But they weren't able to beat the Maccabees. In the final battle, there were more than 6 armed soldiers for each Maccabee, but still the mighty army of Antiochus was beaten. Judah then led the Maccabees to Jerusalem. The Maccabees cried when they saw the temple ruined and filled with garbage. They cleaned it, they built a new altar, new gates, new doors. On the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev, the temple again became the house of God. Judah declared that every year on that date, an 8-day holiday would begin. The holiday was called Hanukkah, which means dedication. It celebrates the day the temple was rededicated, and that was more than 2,000 years ago. Today, all over the world, Jews celebrate Hanukkah by lighting the candles. Oh, we forgot something. The whole reason it's 8 days, it's coming. All over the world, Jews celebrate Hanukkah by lighting candles, singing Hanukkah songs, and eating latkes, potato pancakes, and sufganiyot, jelly donuts. Latkes and sufganiyot are prepared in oil to remind Jews of the Hanukkah miracles that they only found when they were cleaning the temple a little bit of oil to relight the eternal flame. But surprisingly, it lasted 8 whole days. And that's why we celebrate Hanukkah for 8 days. In many homes, people exchange Hanukkah gifts. Children also play a game with a four-sided spinning top called a dreidel. On each side of the dreidel is a different Hebrew letter, the first letters of the Hebrew sentence, Nes Gadol Haya Sham, which means a great miracle happened here. It happened in Jerusalem. Hanukkah celebrates one of the first fights for religious freedom. And so today is the 5th night of Hanukkah tonight, so we have 5 candles plus the shamas that will be used to light the other candles. And we got 2 more nights after that, 3 more nights after that. And that's our story for today. So thank you all for coming up.
Behold you in our love as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious smile. We hold you in our love as you go.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara, our community of faith and our spiritual home, where we support and encourage each other on our journey through life. Whether you are here in our sanctuary or tuning in from home, people of goodwill are welcome. If you are visiting us today, a special warm welcome to you. Please be sure to sign our guest book and stay for our time of fellowship following the service so that we may greet you more formally. I'm Peter Hale, a member of your worship arts team, who, along with Ken Ralph, Nancy Beiser, Matthew Gossett, and Heather Levin, are your hosts for this morning's service. If you have ever had dinner at our house, you know that dessert is not served until everyone has shared 3 good things that they either observed or had happened to them on that particular day. Occasionally, there is someone who can't come up with anything, but with some prompting, they can. Maybe the good things in life are more common than we think, and it's the bad things that stand out and therefore easier to remember. We're going to share the good news with you today. It's not an event, it's a way of thinking and interpreting the world that offers hope and resilience for the coming year. In every service, we set aside some time for reflection, prayer, meditation, but mainly silence, a moment of silence, which will follow this, ironically, a story about silence. There once was a rich merchant who lived in the ancient city of Baghdad, had a wonderful estate, a beautiful walled garden, and on his patio, he had a bird, a myna bird, in a cage. These were the days when myna birds can talk, and he conversed with the merchant pretty much on a daily basis about freedom. When was the merchant going to open the cage and let him be free? They talked about this endlessly every single day, and the merchant always said, "Krishna, my dear, you are safe in this cage. It is protecting you against a harsh world. You have everything that you want, all the food you want, all the little toys that you want." But Krishna said, "But I don't have my freedom." And the merchant said, "It is a dangerous world out there. You are much better off in your cage where I can take care of you." But Krishna looked at the other birds in the garden and saw them happy, fluttering around in the fountain, flying freely. And he wondered how he was ever going to get out of this cage. During one of their conversations, Krishna mentioned that the next time the master's guru came, who came on a fairly regular basis once a week, he said, "Master, the next time the guru comes, ask him when you will be enlightened, because you have been talking and talking for years, and I don't see any change in you at all." The guru thought, okay, the master wants to know when he will be enlightened. He sat there and thought, said nothing. Eventually, he got up and left without a word. The merchant was stunned. He was expecting to hear some information about his enlightenment, but none happened. But Krishna saw what happened, and the very next day, he stopped eating. He stopped drinking. He stopped playing with his toys. And one morning, the merchant came out and found Krishna on his back at the bottom of the cage with his legs in the air. And he thought, oh no, my dear Krishna, my love, my pet. And he opened the cage door and reverently put Krishna down on an elegant cushion on the ground. Instantly, the bird rose up and flew off into the sky. So Krishna taught the merchant that silence can liberate.
I don't know if you've noticed, but the sun has come out. And I'm sitting here on the chancel looking at all the light flowing through these amazing windows, particularly that window back there, the original rose window in the church. I invite you all now, please, stand up if you want. Stand up in silence and look around at these wonderful colors and light that we have going on here. And you might even make a little eye contact with a few of the people around you that you've seen so many times over these Sundays, and maybe some new people that you've never met before. All right, thank you. A little break here. Thank you. Well, before I start my reflection, I want to thank Peter for inviting me to speak. I think this is the first time that we've ever done a service together, and I really have been looking forward to this. And I also want to say that Peter did a pretty darn good thing this morning already with the pancake breakfast. So Peter, come on. Peter. It's no small task, but he does it with so much love and energy, and it's so much fun to do it with him. I think this is the third time he's done it. The fourth. Anyway, thank you, Peter. So, with that in mind, I decided to title my reflection, Bad Things. And let me start by pointing out the obvious. And I'm going to go way out on a limb here. Bad things are not good. All right? And I'm going to go even further out on a limb and state that no matter how I may try to avoid it, bad things will happen. From the irritating to the life-threatening, bad things will happen. For example, yesterday morning, I got up around 6 a.m., like I usually do, and began making some breakfast, like I always have. A bowl of oats and seeds and nuts and fruit, topped off with almond milk, and a large pot of strong black coffee. All the ingredients were in the bowl, and the coffee maker was beginning to make those gurgling sounds when I reached for the almond milk, gave it a good strong shake, and whammo! The almond milk went exploding out of the top of the container all over my shirt, and my pants, and the counter, and the walls, and even the ceiling, for crying out loud. A bad thing happened yesterday morning, and I had a choice of what I could do next, right? I could get angry, which I did. I could lay blame, which I did. Sorry, Anita. I could laugh at it, and I suppose later I will. But there was absolutely nothing I could do to get that milk back in the bottle. The only thing I could do was to choose how to react and what to do next. I've been thinking a lot lately about my grandniece, Chandler. That's the daughter of my older sister. Chandler is 32 years old, single mom. She has 2 small boys, both by different fathers who chose not to stick around. Her life has been full of struggle and riddled with poor choices. But just a little more than a year ago, she began to turn things around. Even though she had virtually no education, she was able to land a job with the city of Shoreline up in Washington, a suburb of Seattle. And this was with the help of a friend who happened to work there. Well, now she had great benefits working for the city and health care for her boys. In short order, she started taking classes at Shoreline Community College in order to qualify for even better positions at the city. Everything finally was looking up for Chandler, and we were all so proud of her. And then, whammo! She got diagnosed with breast cancer. advanced and life-threatening. Now, she could get angry, which she did. And she could lay blame, which she kind of did, mostly in the form of, why me? But at the end of the day, there was absolutely nothing that she could do to put the fact that she might die very soon, to put that back in the bottle. Now, before I go any further, I have to admit that I really don't know Chandler all that well. I mean, I got a ton of nieces and nephews out there. In fact, if I'm honest, from the little I did know, I was not particularly impressed with Chandler. Right? But man, was I wrong. I found out that she told her grandmother, my sister, that since there was nothing she could do, even with the chemo and radiation, to eliminate that uncertainty about whether she was going to live or die, and die soon. So she told Chris, her grandmother, that since there was nothing she could do, that she was going to live as much life as possible with her boys, just in case. And then she proceeded to do it. She started lining up all kinds of activities, excursions, all kinds of fun stuff for the boys, and she would do it with them if she could, but she could draw upon a lot of support when she couldn't. Like from her mom, Debbie, my niece, and her grandmother, Chris, my sister. They were at the ready to help. And then more folks started pitching in. Right? Melissa, my cousin from Wenatchee, Washington, she put out a call for a meal train. I don't know if you know what that's about, people contributing, bringing food to the house, or now with DoorDash, you could call them up and, make contributions so that she could just order from DoorDash to feed the boys. Well, anyway, Melissa sent out this call, and it started to spread. And the response was overwhelming, the amount of food that people were willing to come and share. It was Chandler. And a few days later, Chandler sent out a group text to everyone to thank them. And then she told us that she had spent the last 2 nights in tears, just thinking about all the people who loved and cared for her and her boys. She had no idea. And yet, the bad thing remains. The fact that no one knows, even today, if Chandler will die soon. That milk can't be put back in the bottle. Chandler can't change that, but she certainly has taken control of what happens next and what to do in the meantime. And I'm totally moved by what Chandler has accomplished, and it's a lesson for me in my life. Damn, I hate it when I have to do the offertory after these. Well, as most of you may know, we contribute 25% of our offering every time we do a collection to a particular organization. And this month we have chosen BLUU, that is Black Lives Unitarian Universalists. And BLUU is a nonprofit organizing collective formed back in 2015 to provide support, information, and resources for Black members of our UU movement. And they also are committed to expand the role and visibility of Black UUs within our faith. So please contribute generously. Thank you. And join me in our affirmation of gratitude and giving. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. And let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
For our offertory today, we're going to be doing Auld Lang Syne. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with that. But we're going to be doing it with, I'm going to be doing it with the Robbie Burns text in the Old Scottish. So I'm just going to read you the modern English translation of that before doing it. Should old acquaintance be forgot, never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot in days of Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. We too have run about the hills and pulled the daisies fine, since we've wandered many a weary foot since Auld Lang Syne. We too have paddled in the brook from morning sun till dinner time, but seas between us broad have roared since Auld Lang Syne. And there's a hand, my trusty friend, and give us a hand of thine, and we'll take a right goodwill draft for Auld Lang Syne. And surely you'll buy your pint cup, and surely I'll buy mine, and we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. Should old acquaintance be forgot and ne'er brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. We twain run about the braes and pulled the gowans fine. We've wandered among a weary foot, seen Auld Lang Syne. We twain paddled to burn frae morning sun till nine, but seas between us braid road, seen Auld Lang Syne. For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. And there's a hand, my trusty fear, and gaze a hand o' thine. We'll talk a a cup, oh kindness yet for old lang syne, for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup, oh kindness yet for old lang syne.
This is a story some of you may be familiar with. There once was a farmer whose horse ran away. His neighbors said, "I'm so sorry you lost your horse. This is most unfortunate." And the farmer said, "Well, we'll see." The next day, the horse came back, bringing 7 wild horses with it. And the neighbors congratulated him, for now he had 8 horses. "Well, we'll see," said the farmer. The following day, his son tried to ride one of these wild horses and fell off and broke his leg. The neighbors commiserated with the farmer and said, "How awful." "We'll see," said the farmer. The very next day, the conscription officers came around to draft the young men into the army. And they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. "Isn't that great?" they said. But by now you know what the farmer said. We never know what the consequences of either misfortune or glad tidings will be. One thing for sure is that life is uncertain. We interpret an event as good news, and the situation spirals out of control for the worse. Likewise, bad news can evolve into unimagined good fortune. I know this service is about good news, but let me tell you about the worst week of my life. I was living in New Haven, Connecticut. It was the wintertime. My best friend, who I'd been rooming with, decided to move to California. So I was alone for the holidays. So to make up for it, I went mountain climbing, rock climbing. In New Haven, there's a big rock. It's called Red Rock, and a lot of people use it for rock climbing and climbing up. And I didn't have a lot of experience doing that, but I did it anyway because I was bored, and I fell and injured my back severely. And I couldn't walk for a while, and the pain was terrible. And we had a terrible health plan. I was working at an architectural firm. I really loved my job. It was what I was trained to do. But there I was, flat on my back. Eventually, I had an operation. But even that did not ease the pain very much. And my leg was numb, and I was struggling around on a crutch. But while I was in the hospital, my girlfriend came in with a big black garbage bag and said, "Here's your stuff. It's over." And left. So I said, "Well, okay, I still have my job." Then the owner of the architectural firm came in, sat by my bed, and I was so thrilled because he had an aversion to being in a hospital. His kids always said he hated hospitals. Well, there he was, came and sat down. I thought, "Oh, this is great." And he said, "I have some bad news. You're going to have to be laid off, along with half of the rest of the studio. Not enough business to support the full staff." And he left. So there I was. I finally got out of the hospital. These were the days when an operation is simple now. You had to stay there for a week. So I finally got out of the hospital, went back to my apartment, and it had been broken into. I got up to the third floor where my apartment was. I had to walk up, of course, on my crutch. And there was the door and splinters hanging there, and my stereo and a couple of other things, TV and microwave. They took my microwave. That was all gone. And it was wintertime. And in New Haven, wintertime means the season of mud. You know, it never gets cold enough to be a white Christmas. It just rains, and it's really cold. And there I was. Then I got a postcard from my friend who is now living in Laguna Beach. He said, "What are you doing there? Why don't you come out for a visit?" I thought about that, and I wrote back to him and said, "Yes, I'll do that." I had never been to California before, but I had a garage sale. I sold everything, packed up my car, and came to California. And that is where my life truly began, because everything I cherished in life, my friends and family, and everything I have that I consider blessed, started from that. We cannot foresee the future. We cannot know what is truly good or bad for us in the moment. It has to play out over time. I vet things that I say here with my friends to get their opinion, and one said, "Well, you know, you were young. You were in your 20s. You know, when you're in your 20s, you have a lot of energy. You have a lot of flexibility. You can overcome things like that." The year 2008 started out for me with heart surgery. Then the bottom fell out of the market, as you may remember, and we lost half of our investments. And then in November of that year came the Tea Fire, and our house burned down to the ground, gone, with everything in it. I was 61. But of course, by then, I had a wonderful partner, a family, and this community. Enough support to keep going and wait to see what the next day would bring. And that is the basis of this service, that we have a choice in how we view the world and the things that happen to us. As a conspiracy against us, or a conspiracy for us. Author Viktor Frankl, who wrote his very famous book, Man's Search for Meaning, which few people have read, but a lot of people quote from it. He survived the concentration camps of World War II. He made the profound observation that even in the vilest of circumstances, some people chose to help others, even without hope, without anything at all. They shared what they could, even if it was only a touch, a smile, or an embrace. And he wrote that this was a power, something that could never be taken away, the power to choose how to live, how to respond to circumstances, to encourage others when all seems lost. In conclusion to that, I'll just say that life happens. It comes to us or upon us. There's nothing intrinsically good or bad. We have the power to decide which is which. And that is the latest good news. Our closing hymn is number 51, Lady of the Season's Laughter. This is one of my favorite hymns. We don't sing it very often, but it expresses the perfect sentiment for going into this new year. Please rise, and when we're done singing, let's join hands and hear our closing words and our closing song.
Lady of the season's laughter, in the summer's warmth beneath, when the winter follows after, teach our spirits not to fear. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning year. Sister of the evening starlight, in the falling shadows stay, here among us till the far light of tomorrow's dawning ray. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning day. Mother of the generations, in whose love all life is worth, everlasting celebrations bring our labors safe to birth. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning earth. Goddess of the time's progression, stand with us when we engage, hands and hearts to end oppression, writing history's fairer page. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning age.
We'd like to close this service this morning with a call to you. The meat of life, it isn't really the good things and the bad things, it's what we do in between. It's how we live our lives in spite of bad things and even in spite of good things. How do we live our lives next? So I challenge you to live fully each day. That's our challenge. Thank you.
Let us call out a blessing. Call out a blessing, 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 call out, call out a blessing, call out. Here you are, Ken. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much.
Never really heard your voice.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Here you go again. Thank you. Well, thank you for your words today. That was wonderful. It was really